Grab your coffee, folks. Welcome back to another edition of the Rise and Rush podcast, your Sunday morning kickoff show. Now, let me get this straight before we go into first thoughts and everything else. There's no London or Germany game, is there?
No, I think that's done.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But what's up, everybody? Hope everybody is doing well. Obviously, tomorrow will be live for the Boys in the Big Apple podcast, and of course, tonight we have our first Yankee video of the offseason. Yoshinobu Yamamoto should become a Yankee. Again, that will premiere tonight after all of the games, actually really before Sunday Night Football. So between your little break, between the 4 o'clock matchups, which I know John will be and Luca will be happy to watch their Jets.
Nail in the coffin.
Nail in the coffin. What's up to KE? What's going on?
Good morning. Hope all is well.
But I'll start it out with my panel. Let's go with John.
Well, as Alex said, you know what? Thank God I'm going to have a nice, healthy gym session before the damn Jets game today. I'll be able to get my frustrations out, but they'll disappoint me in the end. And we know Alex's Giants he's for the T-A-N-K, tank. But nevertheless, we still got all the other game previews, some of the more important matchups. And don't worry, we're going to have a day with fantasy. We're going to have a day with some not gambling, not betting advice, maybe.
Yeah, I do have the predictions written down because I did while the teacher was teaching in class this week, I decided to do some math. So
nice. What? By the way, we all started out nice. We all picked the Ravens to win.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
sadly,
Jake Browning being in there kind of.
Well, okay. Nobody thought that would happen.
Right. Nobody was expecting that. But to be fair, the Bengals were already kind of sluggish with Joe Burrow, to be fair.
Yeah, you got a point there. But Luca?
Can't wait to go into my game preview. I crunched a lot of numbers last night because I had the free time. Can't wait to see this slate. No, I'll be honest. This slate is actually kind of garbage.
It's bad.
If you look at the records, like the Seahawks are obviously good. Like, let's break down. I'm not going to break down some of the matchups, but we're going to go record by record here. So the Bills-Jets game is actually somewhat appealing with records. The Steelers-Browns actually an appealing game because both teams are 6-3. Yet Dorian Thompson-Robinson is expected to start for the Browns. Bears-Lions 3-7 versus 7-2. Packers-Chargers 4-5 versus 3-6. Giants-Commanders 2-8 versus 4-6. Cowboys 6-3 versus 1-8. Titans 3-6 versus 6-3. Jaguars. Cardinals 2-8 versus the 5-4 Texans. You see where I'm going with this, everybody?
Yeah. Why do I feel like the NFL is going to find a way to make it interesting, though?
Yeah, because it's scripted.
Oh, here we go. There we friggin' go, people. All right. Well, that brings us to our first game. That is between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. As already mentioned, Dorian Thompson-Robinson will be starting for the Cleveland Browns against Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also, I do have a fantasy question I'm going to ask John in just a second. It actually relates to this game very much so.
Okay.
Pat Freiermuth is back.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's funny? And again, before I get to John and the fantasy question, I had 3 players on IR for one specific fantasy team. Devon Achane, Khalil Herbert, and Pat Freiermuth. All of them were activated yesterday. So, and I'm already good with that team. But my question is, John, I have both of these defenses on my fantasy team.
Ooh.
At least one of my fantasy teams. Who do I go with? I am thinking the Browns. I'm thinking the Browns.
So here's what I'll say, right? With the Cleveland Dog Pound Browns, because they're actually one of the top defenses in the league. They're really good against the pass. And the Steelers, obviously, that's what they struggle with. Now, on juxtaposition, you look to the Steelers defense, they're facing a rookie quarterback. So I have no clue how DTR is going to play. I don't know if he's going to be any good or bad. I know he's got talent, but I know he also has I believe he's only started one game. And that was
it was against the Ravens, I think.
And I'm pretty sure he got his ass handed to him. But I could be wrong on that. I don't remember the outcome of that game. But I lean toward the Browns for that, just because
That's what I thought.
they kind of
That's what I
proved it
thought.
all year. Not that the Steelers are any bad, but
But I'm not gonna lie to you. And again, I'll let you go in your preview in a second. But most of my defenses, what do you think is the team that has that's most of my defenses? Like, I'm wording it terribly. Which defense did I pick for most of my fantasy teams?
the Browns.
Luca.
I'm gonna go with the
think
Bills.
logically. It's all NFL. It's not just this game. It's one specific team.
Is it the Niners?
Oh wait, hold on. Commanders.
Luca's right.
You picked the Commanders?
I mean, think about the Giants'
The
offense
Giants
not score
defense,
many
Giants
points.
offense sucks.
Oh, well, okay. If you're okay. You see, I didn't know you just meant in specific to this week. I wasn't thinking.
Yeah. So
Well, that's actually very smart.
yeah. Thank you, Jeff.
Smart,
But
very smart.
what's up to Almighty? Top of the morning.
Top of the morning to you, laddie.
Yes. But John, if you want to take us away.
All right. Hear ye. So, game one of our previews today. Rivalry matchup. Steelers, Browns, bad blood. Two teams that hate each other for God knows how long, since pretty much the start of football. Shout out to Katie, Almighty, and Scrub Zero. Happy Sunday. We're just getting started. So you look into this game, right? Can you look at the Steelers, right? Can the Steelers defense win them another game? Can their front seven win them another game? Because remember when these two teams played, I believe it was week 2, that Monday night game when they were in Pittsburgh.
It was when Chubb got hurt.
It was that was the game that Chubb got hurt. But also the Steelers defense really played great that night. They had I think that was a forced fumble touchdown there, and I think they also had a pick 6, if I'm not mistaken. So they were responsible for a lot of the points that night. And then now you look at and another thing, me and Luca actually talked about it, but I don't remember it because I believe he was the one that told me the stat, or I said it and he found it, that the Steelers have pretty much been getting outgained every week and somehow continue to find wins, which really isn't sustainable, and that attributes more to their defense and how bad their
I think it also
offense is.
attributes to the coaching as well.
That too, we'll get into that. And you look at the Browns' quick storyline. Obviously, Deshaun Watson done for the season, so DTR gets the start. Okay, and the funny part is, if you guys haven't realized how bad of a contract that Deshaun Watson is looking, because remember, all that money is guaranteed, which is really what killed the Cleveland Browns, and they made a huge mistake going after him and locking him up long term. Because remember, he had all those scandals in him. He wasn't in football shape. He wasn't the same player once he ever got back. I don't believe there was a moment where he looked any part of what he did when he was with the Houston Texans.
Not at all.
And you can argue that he has more talent on this team than he ever did in Houston. So the fact that he does not look the part and now he's injured and when he's not going to come back till next year, well, they're a little screwed at quarterback, it looks like, especially since they didn't trade for a backup, and DTR will now get the start. Can they win games with him with an elite defense? So I will read the team stats here, right, before we go into more of the preview. For the Steelers, passing offense 29th, the rushing offense 20th, the points scoring 26th, and on defense, the passing defense 27th, the rushing defense 25th, points allowed 12th, the dog pound Browns, passing offense 25th, rushing offense 2nd in the league, points scored 11th. How about this defense? First in passing defense, the best in the NFL, 7th in rushing defense, and 6th in points allowed. So you just obviously heard all those stats definitely lean toward the Cleveland Browns. However, these two teams are both 6-3. It does not matter about the team and individual stats. These two teams are still 6-3. They're still fighting for playoff spots, okay? Like I said, the Steelers have been finding ways to win games. And before we go into our matchups and our player battles, let's talk a little bit. We'll start with the Steelers, right? So we have to figure out, how can they – I don't want to say obviously they're winning, but what's some of the problems they have in terms of personnel? Well, first off, the offensive tackle has been a real struggle for them. it has been a hot topic for anyone that is a Steelers fan because, they first didn't really start Broderick Jones that much, even though they traded up to get him, as me and Luca know. So they've been either starting Dan Moore Jr. and Chuck's Okorafor. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Well, for short, it's
Chu?
Chu Okorafor. I can never
Chu
pronounce his first name.
Okorafor. Yeah, Chu, you're right. And, pretty much it has been a mess at the tackle spot for them. Okafor, or I believe I'm pretty sure it's Okafor because it's spelled different than the Okafor in the NBA. But
I think it's actually Okorafor.
Okorafor.
I'll look it up for you just in case.
You're right. But he actually got benched into this season, and then they added Jones as a starter. So Jones has been solid at that right spot, but the issue is he just hasn't had that much playing time, and
Chemistry.
Right. So the chemistry is a little bit of a mess. So they got to figure out that left tackle spot now that they kind of have the right tackle spot, and they really need to address that more. Another problem for the Steelers, Allen Robinson has not really worked out as a signing for them, and now maybe it's not entirely his fault, but maybe he's just too old. Maybe he's not the same player that he once was because this offense doesn't give him a lot of attention. He does not get many targets throughout the game, but he's also struggled to create separation with his routes. For a guy that he used to be a top receiver.
Remember with Chicago and Jacksonville, but
he used to be.
Is it a result of what it depends on what the offensive game. I still somewhat think he's a good receiver. Is he a wide receiver 1 anymore? No, I'd say he's probably a low end 2 or a high end 3. But I would just want to say real quick that is it because of the game plan? Because the game plan seems to be run the ball with Najee and feature George Pickens or Deontay Johnson. And and Kenny Pickett hasn't exactly played well this year, to be fair.
No, he hasn't. And at this point, you kind of got to cut ties with Al Robinson because of the separation struggles. But also, you could also play Calvin Austin more, one of their young players that the Steelers like, and they want to get more playing time. So that could be something to look at in the future. And then another personnel decision or player that needs a little bit of attention. I have it in my notes. Their defense in their secondary, right? So obviously, Joey Porter Jr. has played well as a rookie. It was a day 2 steal. Remember, everyone thought he'd get a first
day
round
1
pick.
designation. Yeah,
but he drops in the second round, so that's been a really good. And the defense, like I said, it's still there. T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith have been their best players on defense. 2 incredible pass rushers. But there's been some bad corner play in this. And, Levi Wallace has been really bad as a corner. He's been one of the worst corners in the league.
Did they bench? Let me ask you this. Did they bench him? Because last week when I was doing the preview of the Steelers-Packer game, it looked like he was second on the depth chart at left cornerback.
Joey Porter Jr. has gotten a lot more snaps. And, a guy like Wallace, I believe he's actually scheduled to hit free agency for the Steelers. So
signed a 2-year contract, so you're right on that.
So he is someone that needs to go. But if you look at past Steelers teams, right? Some things have been good. Like, I won't necessarily blame them for that. I mean, for either their old guys falling off like that Allen Robinson, that's just something you do. You try and make the team better, right? It's not like it was a huge mistake signing him.
It was more of a trade with the Rams because remember the Rams couldn't use him.
You're right, yeah. So they acquired him. It was they're trying to go for it. And then you also look at the running back spot. Najee Harris has been okay, but Jaylen Warren has been really ascending the past few weeks. They're giving him a lot more snaps and touches, so that's really good. I feel like they've done a pretty good job ever since they had James Conner to keep the run game afloat, I should say. But again, the skill position players are there too. You mentioned Deontay Johnson and George Pickens, but I have to say that the O-line has been really up and down for the Steelers. I think that's, besides Matt Canada, I think that's been their biggest issue on offense. And you can blame the quarterback. Remember, it's his second year. But the starting offense line right now is Dan Moore, Isaac Semoleo, Mason Cole, James Daniels, and Broderick Jones. The unit has really struggled. They even have, Luca, do you know what former Jet they have as a backup?
They have Nate Erbig.
That's right.
But I
Nate
also want to
Herbig.
add real quick. Let me help you out with the offensive line stuff because I actually found this last night.
Ooh,
And
okay.
I thought this would be subscription only. I could look up offensive lineman rankings on PFF, so I could do like individual. Like I can't look up necessarily all their grades. Obviously, the one
No, I
grade
know
they
what
have.
you mean, like a team grade or like a team ranking.
No, I was saying like when it comes to like certain players, you can only do their offensive grades, not pass blocking, run blocking. But I could give you the rankings among offensive tackles among the NFL.
Go ahead. It's
So,
awful. It's awful.
So Dan Moore Jr. is 73rd among 80 tackles.
Yeah, he's one of the worst.
He's been
I knew
bad
that.
since they drafted him, to be fair.
He's been quite awful. He's going to be in one of my matchups too that is important to the game.
Okay, so next up we're going to have Isaac Semelo. And Semelo, among PFF, he ranks 23rd out of 80. That's not terrible. That's
not
decent.
horrible.
But I thought he used to be better in Philly, maybe unless he was the weakest link.
He probably was, but it's not really good help when your left tackle is one of the worst in the league.
Exactly.
I was looking at Dan Moore's stats last and this morning. He has been atrociously bad. But shout out to Jacob Almighty and Drunk Stormtrooper in the chat. But nevertheless, we continue.
I was going to give you some more.
Oh, go ahead. Keep going. Sorry. You
No worries. Mason Cole, as you said, as you were talking about the offensive line, 31st of 37 among PFF.
Yeah, awful.
I think I'm going to go into James Daniels because Broderick Jones has not had nearly enough playing time to get that ranking.
Mm-hmm.
James Daniels is ranked 16th out of 80, so that's solid.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's fine.
That's where I think I can understand where your inconsistency is.
Mm-hmm. Right. But like you said, the tackle spot for the Steelers has been a huge concern. And then, like I said, Dan Moore has been quite the disaster class. So he's in one of my matchups. But then we got to look at this quarterback on offense, Kenny Pickett, right? My opinion, I'm starting to not believe in him. So it has been and here's the reason why. We see so many other quarterbacks that have been already ascending, whether it's CJ Stroud, Will Levis has had his games, but Kenny Pickett, he really hasn't had the upside. I feel like it's very limited. Everyone talks about his game-winning drives, but you want to know an interesting stat I found, actually? Mm-hmm. On Kenny Pickett's, all his game-winning drives, right, which is early in his career, all 7 of the game-winning drives, the Steelers' defense have allowed 17 points or fewer. So it's not like he's making these. It's not like he's making these incredible comebacks where it's like he's down 30. Like the Steelers' defense keeps this team in games. And here's the other thing that I think people forget. Kenny Pickett is not like the young. There's a lot of more younger cats out there because he's 25 right now. Remember, he was drafted last year, but I think he came out at 20. Like he came out as a 24-year-old, if I'm not mistaken. So Kenny Pickett is like he's just so inconsistent, and with all the like you want him to be better, but he's just simply not. And Jacob says Pickett is a game manager. That is actually true.
He's your average pocket passer, and I think his type of quarterback has been out of its time for a little bit.
No, you're right.
My opinion.
You're right.
And it's a shame because I liked Pickett coming out last year. And I was actually it's funny, Luca will tell you, I was actually watching him just in case the Giants would take him in the draft in 22. Obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, I mean, he was the most NFL ready out of a pretty shitty class.
Yep.
But that doesn't really say anything.
Say much. No, you're right on that. And then we look also more to the Browns. You mentioned Dan Moore. Well, here's the thing. It's not going to be pretty for Dan Moore today on that left side. Do you know why?
Garrett.
Because Myles Garrett is coming his way. Probably I don't know who you have as defensive player of the year. It could be him. It could be Micah Parsons. It could be TJ Watt on the other side.
I feel like Parsons doesn't have the impact he had in years before.
That's
He
possible.
really had a hot start to the year, but he's since faded
Hold
off. So
on.
I'd say between. I'd definitely say between Garrett and TJ Watt, which Steelers and Browns fans are going to brawl each other over.
I know Luca loves the stat pass rush win rate. You know who's first snap? Myles Garrett, 26.3%. He is just a monster, and he's going to have a field day with Dan Moore. Now I can't imagine. Okay, I'm assuming Matt, if you're Matt Canada, you might want to listen and pay attention. You see that guy number 95, Myles Garrett? Yeah, you might want to double team him with, I put Semaleo there. You got an abundance of tight ends. So
Darnell Washington, he's so big. You could put him over there. When you get a chance, John, there is a fantasy question.
Yes, I will. I did see that, Adrian. Give me 1 sec, and I will help you out in a sec. But Myles Garrett is a game wrecker. Okay, guys, do you know what is his sixth year, right?
He was drafted in 17, 19, 20, 21,
22, 20. Seventh
season, excuse me.
We're getting old.
I know. You know how many career sacks this guy has already?
He's probably got 100.
110?
No, it's below 100, but it's still pretty high. It's 85 and a half.
Okay.
85 and a half. Like, that's insane to me. That's still a monster. But before we go more into that, we got a fantasy question. Adrian asked, pick 2. Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry. Ooh.
For PPR.
That's right, for PPR. So I even have some of these players on my own or have had them at one point. I'll talk about Breece Hall. You should be starting him because since week 5, Hall has been averaging about 19 touches a game. Okay. And the issue is, and this is more, I know this because me and Luca knows this every week, the Jets have no passing game, so no one respects it. So sometimes the yards might not be there, but the receiving yards are still there. He's had at least 47 receiving yards in 3 of his last 4 games. So the Bills, and they've been getting better at the run game. They don't allow too many big plays, but I think Hall has the talent to overcome it. Then you talk about Josh Jacobs, right? This is a guy that I have in my league. He's in a tier lower than Breece Hall. Now he gets the touches and the yards at times, depending on how many touches he gets. And the offensive line for the Raiders has been better. And over the last 2 weeks, the Raiders are 9th in yards before contact after attempt. So I really do think Josh Jacobs, the reason he had such a slow start is because of how pretty much he didn't start in training camp right away, and he had to kind of catch up to game speed. I think that's kind of what happened to him. But since week 5, the Dolphins, they've held back to the 8th lowest explosive run rate. So they might not give him too many big runs, but I'm sure he'll still get the volume. And I'd say to start these 2 over Derrick Henry this week, just because, he kind of, he's had games where, like last week, where he saw a Tampa run defense, and he did not do so good. 11 carries, 24 yards, pretty bad. The game script got out of hand for him. He doesn't get the touches and the volume that the other 2 get. And, I don't want to say, in case they fall behind again to Jacksonville, Derrick Henry might not get the ball again. So I would personally, Adrian, I would say Breece Hall and Josh Jacobs are the guys you should play over Derrick Henry.
I just read this, and I know this is off base, but it's still NFL related.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Desmond Ridder starting the rest of the season now?
Is Heineke that injured that badly?
It has to be.
Well, hold on. I got this from Rap Sheet. The Falcons will start Desmond Ridder going forward, beginning with their next game against the Saints, handing the ball to the original starter.
That clown Arthur Smith should be fired if Heineke's healthy and is refusing to play him.
Yeah, but it's kind of like the Salah situation.
Yeah, you should.
It's a low-grade hamstring strain, so they're opting to go with shit pants.
So we'll go back to the game. We talked about Myles Garrett. Now, obviously, at the start, I talked about Dorian Thompson Robinson, DTR, and now this is their 5th-round rookie from this year. And there's obviously, I said Deshaun Watson done for the season, probably into next year too. He's going to be hurt.
That's rough. The running back and the quarterback.
Yeah, tough for that. But DTR, he is an amazing athlete. Like, he does have a very good arm, and we saw what he could do with his legs in preseason. But if you're the Steelers defensive coordinator, you got to play to your strengths, right? And you have so many good pass rushers. Like, you got to pressure DTR in this case, and you got to try and confuse him because DTR is not the best. He's not going to be a good pre-snap guy. He's not going to be processing defenses right away. That's what you're going to have to do to get him and force the turnovers. Remember, you want to beat DTR, you're going to have to get him into turnover trouble. Steelers, they forced turnovers last week against the Packers. That's what helped them win. And again, DTR, he's a physical specimen. He's got the arm, he's got the legs. He doesn't have the mind yet to break down defenses and see stuff at the line of scrimmage. And you look more with the Browns, right? It really does beg the question whether they needed to add a quarterback at the deadline because remember, Josh Dobbs was available. I tell everyone that all the time. Josh Dobbs was available. And the funny thing is, I believe Josh Dobbs was a Brown at one point.
Yeah, he was.
Yes, he was.
Start the season, actually. Technically.
That's right. Start the year. He was traded to Arizona. And then they moved him to Minnesota. So it probably is going to bite them in the ass because they are just they have to rely on a 5th round rookie now. And correct me if I'm wrong, but do they not have their 1st rounder this year? The Browns? If someone wants to look at the draft.
In 2024, let's take a look.
Is it this year because I remember they gave up a 1st for Watson. So
looking that up as we speak, and the truth to that is okay. Now the site I'm looking at wants to be dumb. I'll get back to you on that.
No. I'll give it to you right. I'll give it to you right now. So for round 1, Cleveland traded 1st and 4th round selections to Houston alongside 2022 1st and 4th round selections, 2023 1st and 3rd round selections for Watson and the 6th. So Cleveland has no 1st rounders to my knowledge.
You're right. So it's not like you keep losing, you're going to get a better pick. No. You're going to be kind of pretty screwed, in my opinion. But the Browns also, they've done, so that's their biggest problem. But here's what they've done well. We talked about Myles Garrett, obviously, as a pass rusher, but they do have a lot of other guys in that front 7 that is really dangerous. You got Zadarius Smith. You got Dalvin Tomlinson up the middle. You got Mo Hurst up the middle as well. I think he's on the 2nd team, or they rotate a lot with that. But you got some guys that can create some havoc and do some damage in that front 7, which has been really nothing short of spectacular. And then also they have the best they probably have the best secondary in terms of the numbers. Okay. Denzel Ward has been a number 1 corner. You got Greg Newsome and Martin Emerson, both corners as well. So they've kind of tore it up. Grant Delpit has turned into a solid safety for them. So again, really good there. Then you look at the offense, right? You mentioned the injury not only to Watson, but Nick Chubb has been hurt since week 2. So it doesn't really matter who they have at running back though, because this offensive line, the interior, has been excellent between Bitonio, their left guard, Poaches, their center, and Wyatt Teller. That might be the best interior in all of football. They are a top 5 offensive line unit, or one of the top 5. You can argue who's got the best, but you have that, and they just do such a good job of run blocking, whether it's for Ford or Kareem Hunt or even Pierre Strong. Like it doesn't matter who's back there. Like they push the pile. Okay, they hit the linebackers and secondary members when they can. So they are a nasty unit. And you want to look at the other thing on offense, their skill position players, right? For the Browns, it's been hit or miss, in my opinion. Amari Cooper is still a really good receiver in this league. Elijah Moore hasn't really. I don't think he's really worked out in my opinion. As Luca gave him a nice thumbs down, but they've been to start out, and they have so much talent too. You got David Njoku at tight end, and even that's like it's good, but you expect more. So that's the thing with the Browns. Their offense is going to start struggling a little bit, in my opinion, especially with DTR.
I was going to say real quick in terms of Njoku, like as a fantasy owner, I think I have him for one or two teams. He's been very shaky. Like he'll have his good weeks, but there's also like he'll have his weeks where he doesn't produce at all.
Yeah, but the key to the Browns, especially with a rookie quarterback, they're going to try and run the football. That's going to be their identity going forward, ground and pound. And now we'll look a little more into the top matchups. One of the matchups, Allen Robinson versus Greg Newsome. I mentioned Robinson in the separation issues. He's only got 154 receiving yards on the season. So just remember, this guy used to be a guy that can get 1,000 yards. Back with Jacksonville, back with Chicago. Okay, so I think the old age is starting to catch up to him. But he's going to have to go against probably one of their other corners, not Denzel Ward, but Greg Newsome. The second had a pick six last week. Okay, he was really good in coverage. 61.9 completion percentage against him. So he's done an excellent job. And like I said, the Browns, number one pass defense in the league. So they dare you to throw them because they will haunt you. We mentioned the Dan Moore stats. Here's the other key matchup. We mentioned how bad he was. He only got one penalty, but he's given up so many pressures. Remember, he went up against Myles Garrett back in week 2. He gave up 6 pressures in total, not just to Myles Garrett, but in general. Myles Garrett, best pass rush win rate. God damn it. It's like
win rate.
Win rate.
John, you just gotta say it slow. I know
it's so annoying to say.
I know if you say it fast, you're not gonna like.
Yeah, I challenge anyone to say that
pass
10 times.
Rush win rate. Run block win rate. Even I almost stuttered.
Right. Best in that, 11 sacks on the year, 25 pressures on the year for Myles Garrett, and 10 quarterback knockdowns. Again, he might be the best defensive end in football, and he might win Defensive Player of the Year. That is a huge matchup there. We'll look into the position battles and go through them really quickly. For the Steelers, for the quarterback, I give the edge to the Steelers. Pickett, not the greatest, but again, he's got going up against a rookie. The running back group, I'm actually going to give it to the Cleveland Browns because I've really liked what they've been able to do. They have a nice, not that the Steelers are bad, but Jerome Ford has really done a good job stepping in against that offense for the offensive line he has. That's a big help. And Kareem Hunt's been a really good receiver out of the backfield. As we know, that's pretty much what he's been his career, whether he's with the Browns, his first stint, whether he started out with the Chiefs. That is what Kareem Hunt has been really good at, even since his days out of college, I'd say. But we move on. The wide receiver group, I still go with the Steelers. George Pickens really having a great season. Deontay Johnson's been a solid number 2. The tight ends, you see, I wanted to go the Steelers because Freiermuth was back, but I'm giving it to the Browns. We haven't seen what Freiermuth is yet, so that's the only reason why I'm going with the Browns. I also gave them the edge on the offensive line. I mentioned how good of a run blocking unit they are. I feel like Pochitz and Teller and Patino, I don't know if there's a better interior among them. I remember Teller was really good a year ago, still having solid numbers. Pochitz has probably been their best offensive lineman at the center spot. He has been excellent there. And Patino has made Pro Bowls, and I believe he's an All-Pro, a former All-Pro, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of chemistry there, a lot of good continuity. Hence, I said good. Jets should know what good is if they want continuity. But nevertheless, switch to the defense. I give the defensive line the edge to the Cleveland Dog Pound, Myles Garrett. They play a 4-3. Myles Garrett's been really good. Zadarius Smith, I mentioned earlier, guys that can really get after the quarterback, and that is going to be what allows their secondary to flourish as well. I also think in terms of the linebacker group, here's where I give the edge to the Steelers because the Steelers actually play a 3-4. So TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, that's the best linebacker duo, the outside linebackers, in my opinion. Landon Roberts has also been solid as an inside linebacker at times for them this year, so that's something to take note of. And in the secondary, I went with the Browns. Like I said, one of the best cover teams in the league. You got, like I said, Denzel Ward's been really excellent. Newsome, Emerson. You got Delpit there. Thornhill, I believe, is out today. So I think they're going to have to start Rodney McLeod Jr., but that is okay because they are still loaded at that position. And then for the special teams, I went with the Steelers here. That's just because I think Chris Boswell has been a solid kicker pretty much his whole career. They also have Calvin Austin as a return man, a dangerous man that they should play a lot more, in my opinion. But nevertheless, is it time? I think it's time to do our stat predictions, which I have them in my notes, not in the doc. But I'll go first with the lead passer. I'll say today it's DTR, and I say he gets 200 yards, a touchdown, and an interception.
Okay. I'm gonna go out there and say Kenny Pickett is today's lead passer. I'm gonna say he gets 235 yards and I'll say 1 interception, no touchdowns.
For me, I'm actually going to agree with Alex, but I'm actually going to go a lot lower. I'm going to go Kenny Pickett, 165 yards.
Damn.
1 interception, though.
By the way, this is how the prediction points stack up. Luca's at 26, John's at 20.5, I'm at 22.5.
Damn.
I still lead the field.
You lead the field. I'm last in both right now. I got to catch up. All right. The lead rusher today, I'm going with Jerome Ford, 15 carries, 95 yards.
I'm going to go off script. I'll say Jalen Warren. Let me go 11 carries, 90 yards is a little high for him. Let me go 77 yards and a touchdown.
I'm also going to go Dream Ford. So I'm going to say the Steelers defense, rushing defense has been pretty vulnerable. But I don't think it's going to be interesting because this is a game of essentially like grit and grind and pound, whatever you want to call it. It depends really whose team is up. But I see the Steelers being up for a decent portion of the game, but it's going to be by this much. So I think the Browns are not going to be against running Jerome Ford a lot. So I'm going to go 13 carries, 85 yards.
Okay. Lead receiver, I'm going with Amari Cooper today. 6 receptions, 90 yards for him. He's still a beast.
Okay. I'm going to say Thinking. Yeah, I'll say Amari Cooper. I'll stick on the John train. I'll say 7 receptions. Let's go 107 yards. And touchdown.
Let's see where I'll go with this one. I'm gonna go. Again, John mentioned the corner. The best passing defense in the NFL is the Browns. I'm gonna go Amari Cooper as well, but I don't think he's putting up as much numbers as you guys say. I'm gonna go 5 receptions, 55 yards.
Okay. That's what we got for there. All right. Lead tackler today, I got in the corner, Martin Emerson Jr., 9 tackles.
I have my computer's freezing up on me again. But anyway, JOK, I'll take him for 7 tackles.
I'm going to go Anthony Walker Jr., 6 tackles.
All right. And the lead sack man today will be Mr. Myles Garrett with 2 sacks today. He's going to tear up Dan Moore.
I'll take Myles Garrett, but I'm going to one-up John and say 1.5.
You bastard. I was about to put that. Myles Garrett as well. One sack. I mean, I don't think he's actually going to have one sack, but you know what? I can't exactly share my prediction with either of these two. I was going to go 1.5, but Alex stole it.
Yeah, Luca was about to do that double crap again.
I could if I want to again.
Oh, God. All right. Game time picks. We already all know, we all picked the Browns to win this game. I got them winning still. 16-14.
Can I change that?
You're going with the Steelers?
Yeah, I'm going to change mine too.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know. I don't believe in I like DTR from the preseason, but based off his one sample size against the Ravens, he wasn't too good. And the Steelers,
right.
I think the Steelers are gonna, make him, obviously beat them. They could either stack the box or they could honestly just put two defenders on one side of the field and try to shade off one side of the field.
All right.
Luca, well, what are they going to win with?
The Steelers will be bailed out by the high-end talent. Stellar's gone to Super Bowl. Anyways, my prediction.
I did see that meme on NFL memes, and they did a great job with this one. It's the episode of SpongeBob where Patrick gets no awards, and then the Steelers get an award for doing absolutely nothing longer than anybody else.
Yes, it's the Stellars who are going to be bailed out by the high-end talent.
It's up to
So did you guys give your score predictions?
I said 16-14 Browns.
Alex?
23-13 Steelers.
13-6 Steelers.
Somebody's a clown. No.
What? That's going to be a ground and pound game.
I just said I'm kidding like 5 times. But that's it for this game. On to the next one.
Luca? In the next game. And the next game. And the next game. But anyways, today I'm actually doing Bucks Niners. Brian's team nonetheless, but I originally thought before I looked into all to the metrics and the statistics that the Bucks might have a chance to upset the 49ers, but every advantage points to the Niners. So looking at it now, the Bucks will be facing off the Niners. Could the Bucks return to 500 in a challenging San Francisco environment, and can the Niners compile consecutive wins after the bye? They just beat the crap out of Jacksonville last week, and they might as well do this to Tampa Bay. So getting into the numbers, the Tampa Bay Bucks, they rank 15th in passing offense, 228.6 yards per game in the pass. Their offense, rushing-wise, they are the worst. 32nd, they rank dead last in the NFL, 78.1 rushing yards per game. That's a testament to the offensive line, Rashad White, but completely being below average, in my opinion. Scoring offense, they're 23rd, 19.8 points per game. Their defense is atrocious. Passing wise, 266.9 passing yards allowed per game. They ranked near dead last in that one, 31st. Their rushing defense is ranked 6th, 86.1 rushing yards allowed per game. Their points defense, how their scoring defense, they rank 8th with 19.2 points allowed per game. Turn it over to the San Francisco 49ers. They rank 9th in the passing offense, 248.7 yards passing per game. I expect them to have a field day. Rushing offense, they rank 5th, 134.7 with Christian McCaffrey. Points offense, they are tied for 3rd in scoring. They score 28 points per game. Passing defense, they rank 15th, 221.4. Passing yards allowed per game. Rushing defense, they are 4th, 83.1 yards allowed per game on the ground. And points defense, they rank tied first with the Chiefs, 15.9 points allowed per game. So I'd like to get into some of the matchups. I did this with some of the PFF metrics. Mike Evans versus Charvarius Ward. Charvarius Ward ranks 15th among corners, which is 15 out of 105. He's getting the top half. So it's interesting because obviously look at it. You got the Bucks who are off. Their offense is sometimes pretty shaky. They've went off before. They went off against the Houston Texans a couple of weeks ago, but they were very sluggish against the Tennessee Titans unit, who's ranked in the mid-tier. So their offense is very hit or miss. But Mike Evans, I think if they take enough shots with him, I think they can have a big day. Same thing with Chris Godwin, who is going against Dio Mador Lenoir, who ranks 62nd out of 105, very much in the mid-tier. What's interesting, though, is I looked at this yesterday. Steve Wilkes actually had Lenoir in the slot last week against the Titans, and I got to look at who they put in the slot. No, I'm sorry, on the outside. I believe it was Ambry Thomas, if I'm not mistaken. It was his second start of the season, if I'm not mistaken. But they're going to put Lenoir back on the outside. He's going to face Chris Godwin, and they're going to throw back Isaiah Oliver back in the slot. So that's a matchup to keep an eye on. George Kittle is always dangerous. He's going to go against Levante David. David is actually ranked 35th out of 80 linebackers. I expect him to be in the top 10 or top 20. He's not even that. So I think Kittle's going to have a day himself. This is another matchup that I definitely would keep an eye on. Luca Gadecki, right tackle. He is ranked 17th out of 80 tackles across the NFL versus Nick Bosa. He is ranked first among edges across the NFL and second in pass rush among the edges. If you want my guess for number one, I believe it's Myles Garrett or TJ Watt. But moving to some other matchups, we have Spencer Burford, who has been mostly for the entire season very shaky. I'm going to pull up the numbers on him right now. So in his first 8 games, he gave up a team-high 20 quarterback pressures. At that point, the Niners decided to sprinkle in John Feliciano to share some time with Burford. But Aaron Banks did sustain a turf toe injury and is going to miss several games. So Feliciano will move into that spot with Burford remaining as the right down guard. But last week against the Jaguars, he put up a clean slate. Burford, no sacks, no pressures, no quarterback hits. So there is reason to believe he might turn the corner with Feliciano next to him. So as I said, Burford 68 out of 80 among PFF. Vita Vea is his matchup, so it's not going to be easier. I'd say he had a better matchup last week, but Vita Vea is snacking. PFF ranks him 10th out of 121 interior defenders, obviously one of the best run defenders in the league. Moving on, here we go we have the Tampa Bay offensive lineman, Matt Filer, who's been basically a journeyman across the league, the Chargers, obviously with the Bucks, now the Steelers, well, once with the Steelers, should I say. PFF ranks him 60th out of 80, so it's, again, the lower tier, versus Javon Hargrave. And now Hargrave, I'm actually going to remark on some stats, some other advanced stats. Hargrave ranks 11th out of 121 among interior defenders. Hargrave ranks 5th in the NFL among defensive tackles in pass rush win rate, 17%. He also ranks 8th in the NFL among defensive tackles in run stop win rate, 41%. Nick Bosa, going back to him with his matchup against Luca Gadecki, he ranks 15th in the NFL among edges in pass rush win rate, so he's right in the mid-tier, 21%. So moving on, we have also Trent Williams versus the rookie Kalijah Kancey. Williams ranks 6th among 80 offensive tackles for Kalijah Kancey. It's a 3-4 system that Todd Bowles runs, so he's been shifted in the interior, sometimes playing edge as well. Kancey, 87th out of 105 defensive tackles, so he's not really had the greatest start to a season. So that's going to be interesting. Going back to Trent Williams. Williams ranks 11th among offensive tackles in pass block win rate. Moving to another really good offensive tackle, that is Tristan Wirfs for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He ranks 11th out of 80 amongst offensive tackles, so he's been really good. Pretty much that only constant in the offensive line. Chase Young, 35th out of 105 edge rushers. Just again, some more advanced stats. Tristan Wirfs ranks 18th among NFL offensive tackles and pass block win rate, 91%. But to get into the advanced stats for both sides, San Francisco pass rush win rate, they rank 7th, 50%. Run stop win rate for the Niners, 32%, which ranks 14th. Their pass block win rate ranks 22nd with 53%. Their run block win rate is 71%, so 16th. So as I brought up the struggles with Spencer Burford, I guess that's really a taint to the Niners because you expect him to be the top offensive line, but they've been mostly closer to the teens. The Bucks, different story. Pass rush win rate, 38%, which ranks 25th. Again, a struggling defense will do that to you. Run stop win rate, 29%, 25th amongst the NFL. Obviously, you bring it back to a struggling secondary as well. Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean have not been good this year, both are freshly paid. Davis, I believe 2 years ago, he was paid the extension and in free agency, and Jamel Dean was recently paid an extension as well. But moving to the offensive side of the ball, pass block win rate, they rank 56%, 16th in the NFL, so that's right around mid-tier, as the Bucs are more of a passing offense and more they like to hit it off with the air game. Run block win rate, they are dead last, 32nd percent, 64%. I should say 32nd in the league, 64%. And that absolutely helps out, or I should say doesn't really help out with their struggles running the football. So moving into the position battles, I had the San Francisco 49ers taking the quarterback battle. I think Brock Purdy's been a little more consistent. He's had some struggles, but I think at the end of the day, he comes out on top. Running backs, I'm also taking San Francisco. Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell lead the way. Wide receivers, you obviously have your two pairs. You have Mike Evans versus Chris Godwin versus Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. Samuel's a lot more versatile than any of the receivers I just mentioned. But Chris Godwin and Mike Evans being deep threats, I think gives the only edge to Tampa Bay. Tight ends, George Kittle versus Cade Otton. I'm taking George Kittle. Offensive line, I mentioned all the metrics. I'm taking San Francisco. Defensive line, I'm also taking San Francisco. Inside linebackers, Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw versus Levante David and Devin White. White has not had the greatest season either. I'm taking the linebackers for San Francisco. Outside linebackers, the Bucs run a 3-4. They have more pass rushers on that side. So they have Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and Shaq Barrett as well. So those are pass rushers for Tampa Bay. I'm taking the outside linebackers on that. Secondary, I'm going with the Niners. Obviously, one of the top defenses in the NFL. I mentioned everything about the stats with that. So I'm also going to get into some of their of individual stats. You have Charvarius Ward. He's played 9 games this season in his second season with the San Francisco 49ers. To look at some of his advanced numbers, if I pull him up here, he's averaged about 12.5 yards per completion. His his passer rating allowed when targeted is 77.4, so that's really solid. Yards per target around 7.2. He's only given up 2 touchdowns, and his completion percentage is below average, 57.6%. Yards after the catch, he's allowed 157. So it's not been terrible. His missed tackle percentage is below average also, or I should say above average for a cornerback, 5.1%. But I'm going to get into Diamador Lenoir, who's expected to play on the outside, as I said, versus Chris Godwin. Let me pull up the numbers here. Lenoir is in his 3rd season with the Niners. This season thus far, 11.5 yards per completion, 8.1 yards per target, 70.2% on his completion rating, 79.6 passer rating allowed, yards after the catch 134, 5.2% missed tackle rating. So the Niners know how to tackle. But I believe Lenoir is ranked 60, or at least in the 60s. I'm going to double check so I can get my facts right on this. Let's pull it up. Lenoir ranks among corners across the NFL. Drafted out of Oregon in 2021, 62nd among 62nd out of 109 cornerbacks.
Can I have a point to bring up that has nothing to do with this game?
Go on.
Brian Costello believes that Chris Glazer will be the starting right guard for the Jets.
Well, Ed Oliver, you're about to have a big game. But yes, I did see that earlier, Alex. But let's see. Secondary, I said the Niners. Special teams, the Tampa Bay actually ranks better because they have a phenomenal punter by Jake Camarda. So if anybody wants, I'm going to offer my game takes and how each team can beat the other. I think this really has to be a big game for Baker Mayfield against the 15th best passing defense. Baker Mayfield really has to take. I really think that the Bucs should really take shots downfield. Obviously, if Baker Mayfield throwing the ball, you have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin receiving the ball, take some shots downfield, challenge the secondary. Even though they're a quite solid secondary, the defensive line, obviously, they've been pretty underwhelming. So I think the Niners are going to end up winning that line of scrimmage battle. Obviously, you have a 2-headed monster with Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey, 2 guys who really set up a 2-dimensional oriented offense for the Niners. But the problem is for the Tampa Bay Bucs, they don't really have a running game, and the Niners defend the run real well. So you're going to have Baker Mayfield possibly throw 35 to 40 plus passing attempts. So in the end, obviously you give the edge to the Niners in that one, but it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a really tough game for the Bucs. I don't really see them pulling it out, but now we get into our predictions. Lead pass drive, Brock Purdy, 279 yards and 2 passing touchdowns.
All right. I'm also going with Brock. I'm giving him a little higher. 310 yards today, 3 touchdowns.
Probable.
I got 294 passing yards, 2 touchdowns.
Okay. Moving on, we have leading rusher. I'm going to go Christian McCaffrey, 13 carries, 125 yards, and a touchdown. I think McCaffrey also gets some of those extra yards when the Niners are up big.
It's all right. CMC, 15 carries, 105 yards, and he'll start a new touchdown streak. He'll get a touchdown today. Yeah, broken.
I think he does too.
16 carries. Let me go 117 yards and TD.
Okay, next stat, we have the lead receiver. I'm going to go deep. I think the ball is going to be spread around really nicely for the Niners, and I'm going to go 6 receptions, 75 yards for Deebo Samuel. Doesn't mean that Kittle or Brandon Ayuk won't get yards, but I think Deebo Samuel, 6 receptions, 75 yards, and a touchdown.
I'm going to go a little different. I got Mike Evans today, 6 receptions, 130 yards, and a touchdown.
I'm going to say Brandon Ayuk, 7 receptions, 66 yards, and a touchdown.
I'll mention this afterwards. Leading tackler, I got Fred Warner, 9 tackles.
I got the Niners safety, Hufanga, 8 tackles.
Yes.
I got Dre Greenlaw, 8 tackles.
Let me look up his real name. Talanoa
Hufanga.
Try saying that a couple of times.
Talanoa Hufanga.
But leading sacker, I'm taking Nick Bosa. I think he gets one today.
All right. I got the newest Niner, Chase Young. He's going to have 1.5 sacks today.
I got Nick Bosa with 2.
You know what? Hold on. I might do a trick.
No.
Javon Hargrave and Nick Bosa will each have 1 sack.
Ooh, Hargrave. I was thinking of Hargrave too.
I should have thought of that earlier, even though I had the advanced metrics. So Nick Bosa and Javon Hargrave will have 1 sack each. But anyways, final score predictions. I have the Niners winning this by 2 scores cleanly, 31-16.
I got the Niners in this one, 34-17. So
I got the Niners 27-13.
All right.
Alrighty. Does anybody have any other takes about this game? What they think?
Good luck to Brian.
I think it's going to be closer than expected.
You think so?
Hot take, yeah.
Let me see something real quick because I want to see if I can offer up a stat. So, the most we're going to include this in our betting segment. This is from BetMGM, actually, per WagerWire. WagerWire is putting out the sweep. This is all per BetMGM. The Niners Bucks 41.5 over under is the most bet over, one of the most bet overs.
Interesting.
I can see that. What's up to no Mets, no Nets, no Jets?
Try saying that a couple of times.
No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. Ooh, I'm doing good.
He's doing good. He's not.
By the way, I see all the suggestions in the chat that I would prefer Matt Canada or Arthur Smith as my head coach. No.
But guys, if you are new here, hit that subscribe and like button. Share us out if you can, please. And hold up. Before Alex gets into his preview, Almighty has a fantasy question. John, so Burrow is out for the season. Should I drop him for Jared Goff or Kyler Murray? Now, I actually like both these options. I lean Jared Goff just because his ceiling's been a lot higher and his accuracy has been one of the best in the league. So I would say go after Jared Goff. But,
go after Jared Goff. All right, so we got Eagles Chiefs. This is a Super Bowl rematch. We know all the fun pop culture rumors that have been circulated around here. I'm gonna wait till John comes back to give you guys a little fun story. Okay, so Almighty says he heard, but yes, Super Bowl rematch between these two teams. Let's go with the storylines that actually matter to the game first. Dallas Goedert, he's doubtful with an injury. Cam Jurgens is returning from IR. So that means Sua Opeta will go to the bench. That's a big boost for the Eagles, obviously, getting Jurgens back, their second-round pick from Nebraska last year. And then also, Richie James is returning for the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, everyone's going to expect this to be a high-scoring game. I'll go into the stats real quick. For the Eagles passing offense, they're 10th or 8th in rushing offense and 3rd in points offense. the stats wise for the Chiefs, they're 5th in passing offense, 19th in rushing offense, and 13th in points offense. And then I'm gonna wait because I have two little stories here for this game that I think John needs to hear. Well, one is not really related, but okay. So first of all, as most of anyone who's been watching, this whole Swift parade, the Kelsey and Swift families will meet up during this game. So if anyone actually gives two shits about that, there's your little headline.
I will accept no questions about this game when it comes to you know
who. Also, a radio station in Philly banned Taylor Swift songs. So that is what we take.
Ballsy, but I give him credit.
That's what we. That's okay. That's the section of Philly I'm proud of. And I don't know. I know Luca saw it. Luca, shut up. John, I don't know if you saw this week. There was an NFL player that was selected in the first round by the Philadelphia Eagles in 1994. He was suspended by the Eagle. He was suspended by the NFL. Dude is 51 years old today. And the NFL obviously didn't suspend him after one season. Like they said, okay, you're off the suspended list.
Mm-hmm.
This dude, technologically, had been on the Eagles roster since 1994.
Am I supposed to guess that player?
No. You're not supposed to guess the player.
Oh,
You're probably not going to get it. But this player, Bernard Williams, was on the Eagles roster since 1994. The Eagles never released him after he was
suspended.
Was suspended and he came back. And he never played a game for them. So he was cut a few days ago at 51 years old. Please tell me how that works.
They just got their priorities straight. The fact that this man never retired, too, that's pretty funny.
But so it's just like, how does he even earn a salary?
He probably got paid.
Oh, he got paid
off the books.
Yeah, something like that. But carrying on, defensively, these teams, the Eagles' passing defense is one of the worst and continues to be one of the worst in the NFL. 28th against the pass, first against the run, though, 17th in points. The Chiefs are 5th against the pass, 17th against the run, and 1st in points. So their defense with Steve Spags is really achieving its peak. So let's go to the position battles. Quarterback, I think we could all kind of guess. It's Patrick Mahomes. You don't have to be a dummy, or you could be a dummy and still guess that. Running backs, I'll go with Philly. DeAndre Swift takes the cake for me. Wide receivers, I'll go Philly. A.J. Brown's already got over 1,000, and outside of Travis Kelce, there's some,
shaky parts.
Yeah, there's some just car parts there. I don't think he's eating Fruit Loops.
Today's yummy cereal is multigrain Cheerios.
This man is literally old.
I'm not old. How am I old?
Multigrain Cheerios?
I'm sorry, I don't eat Cocoa Puffs and Frosted Flakes every day.
I'm not saying you have to eat Cocoa Puffs or Frosted Flakes. Frosted Flakes is good though, but like eat normal Cheerios. Especially it's not Raisin Bran.
I do like Raisin Bran too.
Yeah, John is very geriatric. Anyway, moving on. Tight ends, you obviously have to take Kansas City. Travis Kelce, one of the best tight ends in football, and he's currently healthy while Dallas Goedert is not. The offensive line, I'm going to take Kansas City. They've allowed the least amount of sacks this season with 12. Obviously you got Joe Tooney. Actually, I might switch that, to be honest, because I feel like that's a lot of Patrick Mahomes is doing. I'm going to go switch it. I'm going to say Philly because their tackles haven't played great, Kansas City-wise. D-line, inner D-line, I'll take Philly. Inside linebackers, I'll take Kansas City. Outside linebackers, I'll take Philly. Kansas City, I'll take their secondary because they performed better. In special teams, I'll take Kansas City as well. I believe Braden Mann is still the Eagles punter. So that's a little fun fact for you guys right there. Feeble is more geriatric than Alexa is dumb. Well, I guess that's a compliment, but it doesn't throw any cold water on anything. Luca, you look like you have something to say.
What? How is that a compliment? He just called you dumb.
Luca, you look like you have something to say.
No, I actually don't. I'm just looking at other things.
No, but you notice how he's turning to the computer. He's like this.
No,
like,
Well, he's getting ready. He's getting ready for
No. I have nothing to say. I just want to listen to. I'm focused. I am listening to your stats about the Eagles and the Chiefs.
Okay. Classy Nasty has the bowl emoji. But I am in the mood for Frosted Flakes. I don't know why. But anyway, moving forward. What?
Rice Krispies are better.
John, do you agree or disagree
And
with
so
that?
is Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch, yes. Rice Krispies,
Well, I disagree with but I think Frosted Flakes is very. I think it's.
Listen, Alex doesn't like anything cinnamony, so don't count his opinion.
This man doesn't like eggs. He doesn't like French toast. I mean, what is wrong with himself?
What is wrong with myself? Okay. Oh yeah, I did call myself dumb technically in the premiere chat yesterday for the Commanders episode. So I'll admit that, Brad. I'll admit that. But anyway, moving forward, we're gonna go into top matchups. I got L'Jarius Sneed versus AJ Brown. AJ Brown has over 1,000 yards, 1,005 yards this season, 6 touchdowns, 18 plays, over 20 yards, 111.17 yards per game, and 67 receptions and 15 yards per reception. Going up against L'Jarius Sneed, who's been pretty dominant. 50% completion, 1 interception, no touchdowns allowed, and a 59.1 passer rating.
Let me get you the PFF ranking on him.
BFF.
No, I was going to say like out of how many corners. I'm not doing grades. So Sneed actually ranks 81st out of 109, so the lower tier.
I don't get that though. Maybe they're doing some. Maybe they're looking at something else. Yeah, I agree, Almighty. I don't know if he stole that bold, Brad. Moving forward, we got Trent McDuffie versus Devonta Smith, and I'm pretty sure the PFF grade will come out on that one for Luca. Let's see.
Trent McDuffie.
4 pass deflections, 5 quarterback hits, 4 forced fumbles versus Devon. Actually, no, let me read the coverage stats because that's important. 64.7 completion allowed, 3 touchdowns, 91.5 passer rating, 51 tackles versus Devonta Smith this season, who is their second leading receiver, 4 touchdowns, 7 plays over 20 yards, 533 yards total, and 42 receptions. Then moving forward to the next matchup, George Karlaftis versus Jordan Mailata. Mailata's allowed 3 sacks and 3 pressures, but is still graded atop the NFL. I'm sorry, Luca, you wanted to give the PFF rating?
McDuffie is actually ranked 8th out of 109 corners.
Okay, so he's actually graded better, despite the cover stats looking better for L'Jarius Sneed. Parent cereal. And what's up to Joe in the chat?
I'm not smoking cigarettes, Joe. I just got my inhaler.
No.
It's his vape.
Or Afram said it's his nose tampon. So, anyway, moving forward. Cam Jurgens, Jason Kelsey versus Chris Jones. I'm going to get the stats on both of those interior offensive linemen. But as for Mr. Chris Jones this season, 5.5 sacks, 17 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 18 quarterback pressures, and 13 quarterback hits is for Cam Jurgens. No penalties, no sacks allowed. Obviously missed some time on IR with the injury. He just came off today, so we'll get a look at him. And then Jason Kelsey is actually regarded as the best center in the NFL. If this PFF crap wouldn't be slow, I could actually get you the sacks and the penalties. This is taking so slow. I don't understand it. But I think it's just PFF, or it might be on my computer, but who knows? Anyway, 1 sack, 1 penalty allowed for Jason Kelsey. Moving forward, Joe Thuney, Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey versus Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. I'll break it down one by one. Joe Thuney, 2 sacks, 2 penalties. Trey Smith, 6 penalties, no sacks. The penalties are high, though, especially with the Chiefs' offensive line. You'll get to notice that. And Creed Humphrey, 3 sacks, 1 penalty, versus Jordan Davis, who this season has 21 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss, 7 quarterback pressures, and 5 QB hits. And then Jalen Carter, 16 tackles, 4 sacks, 5 TFLs, 14 quarterback pressures, 7 quarterback hits. Now we move to probably the worst offensive lineman on the Kansas City Chiefs, Jawan Taylor, 2 sacks and 11 penalties.
Let me give you his ranking.
Yeah, Luca will give you the ranking.
Remember, they gave him a big contract.
Multi-grain cereal, Ovaltine, however you spell it. What's next? That's a good point.
I can always pull out the Ovaltine, but Taylor ranks 63rd out of 80 tackles.
This says, what type of milk?
No milk. Dry cereal's the best.
Yeah, dry Cheerios are the best.
For some things.
Sunil on stream looks like his prediction of India beating Australia in cricket is going to be wrong. Well, Sunil's wrong on a lot of different things. It's up to Greg in the chat. Luca would take Jawan Taylor on the Jets. I don't know about that.
No.
With the penalties, I don't think so. But moving forward, unless you got the rankings.
For Taylor, I said 63rd out of 80.
Okay. Why is your camera off?
Sorry, it turned off.
Oh, okay. Anyway, Donovan Smith, 7 penalties, 1 sack versus Josh Sweat. 24 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 6 tackles for a loss, 26 quarterback pressures, and 16 quarterback hits. And then finally, I picked 3 players versus Travis Kelce. Kelce this year for the Kansas City Chiefs, as we could all imagine, he's the leading receiver, but he's not at 1,000. 597 yards, 4 touchdowns, only 4 plays over 20 yards, and 57 receptions, 10.5 yards per reception. And then he's going up against one of these 3. I would like to believe he's going up against the corner. We'll start with Darius Slay, who's not had the best season, but he's had a better season than James Bradbury. 2 touchdowns, 87.4 passer rating, 67.2 completion percentage, and 2 interceptions. Then you move to James Bradbury, the other corner. No interceptions on the year, 7 touchdowns allowed, 117.6 passer rating, 57.4% completion, 364 yards allowed. And then finally, if they choose to factor in a safety, I think it'll be Kevin Byard. This season, no touchdowns allowed, no interceptions, 77.4 completion percentage, 317 yards, a passer rating of 109.2. But since with the Eagles, it's gotten a little bit worse, 88.9 completion percentage, 121 yards, 118.7 passer rating, and a total of 16 tackles. So a little bit worse, but again, he's not allowed a touchdown yet. So green eggs and spam. Yeah, that's true. When is Sunil ever right? The guy talks nonsense. Well, you know, he's a Cowboys fan. PTSD every Sunday, about to lose every parlay by 1 leg and take it out on a McDonald's worker. Joe is yeah. Well, I mean, what's worse? That every Sunday, Joe, or is it when the Corbin Carroll thing happened?
That's
when
true.
He literally got pinch hit for.
They pinch hit for Carroll.
I think he needed a hit, and then he got pinch hit for. So, while John disperses of his, or I should say, he gets rid of his Cheerios. Luca, do you have any thoughts on this game?
Chiefs Eagles, obviously one of the best games, probably the best game of the slate out of all Sunday and Monday. You look at it, Eagles, their pass defense is still suspect, right? Even though they acquired Kevin Byard. So maybe the Chiefs, like they could work around the they could really use Travis Kelce and maybe line him up in the slot, line him up outside to go up against one of those corners. Running game obviously is elite for the Eagles, so I think they'll take the Chiefs defense to task. Offense, like passing wise, I think they'll take the Chiefs defense to task because they have Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. AJ Brown's been phenomenal, probably one of the best wide receivers this year. You could probably say top 5. I feel like I'm going to favor the Eagles in this one, but I think this is going to be a highly competitive game and fun for everybody to watch.
Corbin Carroll, LOL, and I could have cashed out for 500, but didn't. Well, I mean, the payout was like in the thousands. So I mean, if you paid out, if you won, you would have been all buying us a steak dinner. But we got prediction time here.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna enter my predictions as I see fit. No, actually, I already entered them, so I'm already ahead of a step ahead of everybody else. I'll start with Patrick Mahomes, 317 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick.
All right. I'm going with Jalen Hurts. I see this as a more low scoring game. But I'm going to have him at 220 yards, 2 touchdowns.
I think the Eagles will be somewhat able to dominate both sides of the ball. No, I should say both sides of the ball, both facets of the offense. Their passing attack and rushing attack will be obviously on par with each other. So I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes, 285 yards with 2 touchdowns.
Okay. All right. Next one for me, I have DeAndre Swift as the lead rusher, 90 yards. I'll go 16 carries and a touchdown.
I'll go with Isaiah Pacheco, 15 carries, 75 yards.
I'm actually going to take Alex's suggestion on this one. DeAndre Swift will be the leading rusher. Again, balanced attack. You're thinking the Eagles, they have multiple running backs. They have Gainwell. Obviously, they have Swift as well. So Boston Scott as well. So I don't think Swift is going to get 20, 30 carries. So I'm going to throw him at 11 carries, 109 yards, and a touchdown.
Okay. I'm gonna say Travis Kelce is the lead receiver, 107 yards and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. I got AJ Brown as the lead receiver, 8 receptions, 70 yards for a tutty.
I'm going AJ Brown as well. I think he's going to dominate. You know what? Hold on a second. I'm actually going to go with an underrated one. I'm going to have Devontae Smith as the lead receiver. I think they'll try to double AJ Brown. I'm just going to throw this for a thing. But Devontae Smith, he'll get 8 receptions, 98 yards, and a touchdown.
Okay. I'm going to say the lead tackler is Kevin Byard with 9 tackles.
I will say, the man you mentioned earlier, Trent McDuffie, he's going to get 10 tackles.
Still thinking about this one. I'm going to go Reed Blankenship. 8 tackles.
8, okay.
Okay. Lead sacker, I'm going to say Hassan Riddick, 1.5.
Now, does he play left or right defensive end?
Hassan Riddick plays against the right tackle.
Okay, so he's going to feast.
I think Josh Sweat will hit home for a sack.
Okay, so with that, Hassan Riddick and Josh Sweat will each get a sack.
Oh, my God.
Of course, he had to pick this game to do that crap.
Well, they're going to tee off on what's his name, Taylor.
Not wrong there. All right, score prediction time. I'm taking Philly to win 30-21.
Alex, you're changing your pick?
I picked the Chiefs originally?
Yeah, you did.
Alex is so
okay. Then I'm changing my pick then because I could have swore I picked Philly.
Me and Luca had the Eagles. You picked the Chiefs, but I guess we'll go with the Eagles in a clean sweep. Then, if you change it, all right.
So today with the Eagles and I shouldn't say today. Excuse me.
Here we go with the Steagles crap.
Yes, the Steelers are going to win today. The Steelers are going to win today. The Eagles will win tomorrow. The Steagles are going to take it. But I'm going to go 31-27. No. I'm going to say it's a little lower. No, wrong. 31-27 Philadelphia.
You sure you're wrong?
I'm certain with this prediction.
All right. So that's that. You pick the Chiefs. Don't switch up. I don't remember picking the Chiefs.
You did.
Alex is so unself-aware.
Okay, listen, fucking cheater.
Oh,
am I
the
a cheat?
Silverware Man versus the cheater. Sounds like a fight in my book. Hit the bell.
Okay, I'm working on a graphic and Luca doesn't even. All right.
What? No. You can't sit there. You can't sit there and point fingers at me. I didn't know you were doing a graphic, so you can't even sit here and point fingers at me. You're a clown. You're a liar.
See, every like bad childhood memory came back to Luca, and that's why he's sitting here raging out on me. But
That's
anyway.
why I hit you with the toy truck when I was a kid.
All right. Before this show, for
And he
some
also
reason,
choked me out when I was a kid. When I was like, how many months old?
Luca, last time I checked, this is a wake up kickoff show, not therapy.
I mean, don't you vent in the mornings sometimes?
Yes, we talk about childhood traumas here. Sorry, folks. You wanted fantasy and betting advice? Screw that. We got therapy session.
I don't even know what to say anymore.
Anyways, I got my fantasy teams up, so I'm ready for John's advice.
Okay. Is everyone ready?
No, we're not ready because the graphic's not up on the screen yet. Yes, John, we're ready.
I'm asking the chat. Not everything's about you, man.
John, do yourself a favor. Grab a toy truck and go hit Alex with it.
I was gonna take a Ford F-150 and hit me right in the ribs.
Ooh. Damn. All right, let's talk about some quarterbacks first. Geno Smith. Now, you want to know something about Geno that we always talk about how bad he is against the blitz and how bad he is against pressure. That's the downfall of Geno. So, Geno has been ranked quarterback 21 for this year, right? Now, with Geno today, he's got the Rams. They don't really have a good pass rush. Should I read the teams after the Rams, though?
Go ahead, because obviously to your point. It's also interesting for me, John. I hate to interrupt, but I have Geno Smith on 2 of my fantasy leagues, so you know what? I might even consider trading him at this point.
The 49ers, the Cowboys, the 49ers again, the Eagles, the Titans, the Steelers, the Cardinals. That is a gauntlet of a pass rush that he's going to have to face. So I'm not the a lot of people are still starting Geno Smith. Again, he's been averaging a lot of things like yards per attempt, completion rate. Like he's been solid to average to above average, fine. But and he's been taking more deep shots. But again, he has been. Hold on, Alex. I see your question. Hold on. You did the correct way. But
he's mocking me.
He has a tough schedule coming up, folks. Now is the time to maybe trade Geno for a better quarterback. His value is never going to be higher, and I guarantee you the Seahawks start getting punked on offense because of it. But Almighty, I had a question first, so you got to ask. He asked, what is the consolation prize bracket? It's pretty much the loser's bracket. That's the best way to describe it.
It's the loser's part of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. What's your question, Alex?
So, I have a pretty loaded team.
Okay.
Wide receiver spot / flex, right?
Okay.
Obviously, I sat Gus Edwards, even though I shouldn't have, but I have a bunch of other guys I got to play. So here are my guys. I got Cooper Kupp, Dotson. I'm throwing away. I'm not throwing him away, but I'm benching him. Khalil Herbert,
okay.
Devon Shane,
okay.
Keenan Allen,
okay.
DeAndre Hopkins, and Brandon Ayuk.
That's for a flex spot?
Well, that's for wide receiver / flex.
Oh,
I need 4. Herbert, I'm against because the run defense for the Bears.
That's correct. Start the other guy. You start Kupp. Who did you have again? I'm sorry, you had a lot of names.
Allen, Hopkins, Ayuk, and a Shane.
Holy hell! I would, because now I got to think of 4 or 5 guys. You said you had. You know what? Okay, so if I'm you, right? Ayuk, I'm starting. I'm starting Brandon
Oh
Ayuk.
yeah, he's in my lineup automatically.
Okay. And then you said you had Keenan Allen?
Yep.
Keenan Allen, someone I'm starting. And then I'd start Devon Shane.
Okay. And then Cup.
Cup, I hold caution. Not because he's not, he's still great. He just has a shitty quarterback.
Oh,
Stafford,
that's right. It's not Matt Stafford anymore.
yeah. That's the thing. Like, he's still great, but he's such a shitty quarterback.
I'm trying to. Who the hell is starting quarterback?
Wait, maybe
You know what?
Matt
Hold on a
Stafford
second. I got to check for you guys because I saw a report last week that Stafford would play. Yeah, he's going to start.
Okay.
Oh. So maybe, you know what? Start Cup and start Cup, Allen. So how many spots left after Cup and Allen?
Cup, Allen. You got 2 more.
Cup, Allen,
Ayuk. So that's 1 more.
and then Devon Shane.
Okay, so no DeAndre Hopkins then.
No, you don't have to start D Hop.
All right.
Brad calling me out saying my dangerous is thinking. Well, when my brain works, it's usually right. So it's dangerous for you, my man. And I do not know about the losers bracket, considering I've won my league a few times and I've won other leagues.
So your team in the fantasy playoffs and you lose the first game, you automatically eliminated. Yes.
Yeah,
I don't really know any double elimination leagues.
Yeah, it really depends on how your league is. But here's another quarterback that guys, we talked about it. He was in my game preview. Okay, Kenny Pickett. He has no value fantasy to me. You guys know that since week 5, he doesn't have a game with at least 250 yards and 2 passing touchdowns.
Sounds like Zach Wilson.
Exactly. He is pretty much droppable, in my opinion. Anyone who wanted to have him in a dynasty league, this guy ain't it. In my opinion, he's looking toward bust status.
Put him in the bathroom.
No, literally. Now we'll go to the running backs, right? Guy I talked about last week, Devin Singletary. The Texans' offense has really ascended. I love their offense. Singletary played 81% of the snaps last week, and he'll get about 15 to 20 touches a game. Remember, Singletary is 7th in missed tackles forced per attempt. But he's only 33rd in yards after contact, but he still forces a lot of tackles missed. So that's pretty good for a guy that, a lot of people didn't even want to have this guy on their roster. I'd say you can play him up to your second running back as a RB2 because this is as good as he's been ever, even in the days in Buffalo, in my opinion. So Devin Singletary is someone who is only owned in 66% of ESPN leagues. So he's someone that you should play if you have him, and if he's on the waiver wire, go get him. Go get him. Another guy I want to talk about, Brian Robinson Jr. had struggled a bit last week. He struggled in the run game last week, but he had a lot of receptions. 119 out of the 157 total yards were receiving. So he has made the most of his volume, okay? He's pretty good explosive run rate, 13th in that. So now the issue is the Commanders' offensive line is Garbo. But they're going up against the Giants, who have the 8th lowest missed tackles per attempt and have held running backs to the 9th lowest yards per carry to run zones. So pretty much Robinson is, I'd say he's a guy, at least you could start him as a flex candidate. Okay? Because, remember, Antonio Gibson's had some issues. I believe he had a toe injury. I know it's weird to say, but toe is eh.
Let me ask you this. Is it worst case scenario if I end up starting Brian Robinson as my second or first running back? Because not today, I'm sorry. This week, this is actually your league, John. I had Gus Edwards and Brian Robinson starting. So Gus Edwards actually put up 26.8 points, which is above 10 points per average.
You can get away with Brian Robinson starting second, especially if a really good RB1. Almighty asks, start Garrett Wilson, Brandon Cooks, Elijah Moore. You start Garrett Wilson. you start Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Cooks has been like an afterthought in Dallas.
He's been up and down. Elijah Moore has been a bust. So you start Garrett Wilson. You just do. Nevertheless, we move on to the wideouts. One of my sneaky good candidates, a guy I traded for, okay? One of the rookies of this year, Tank Dell. 23% target share, almost 35% air yard share, and 28.2 first read share. So Tank Dell is someone that you should be starting as a wideout too, just like I do in my own league, right? He also has 6 red zone targets over his last 2 games. And you know what? The Tank Dell show is just getting started. Ladies and gents, last week, 6 receptions, 56 yards, a touchdown. The week before, 6 receptions, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns. This guy is starting to get his volume, but he's also getting his red zone targets, okay? He has been incredible as a trade pickup, okay? And the best part is, with Tank Dell, he's owned in 84% of leagues. So he's still available in those 16%. So you guys are slacking on Tank Dell. Telling you. Joe being a clown saying Zach Wilson's him. He is
Okay, Joe.
Zach Wilson is her. But there's that. Almighty says Aaron Rodgers' return date is most likely on Christmas Eve against the Commanders. Possibly. That is a very good possibility. Nobody knows really though, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah, we're not gonna
speculate on that. Maybe another topic for a different day. But nevertheless, we move on. As I said, I love Tank Dell. Here's a guy that I think I know Alex has him in one of the leagues. He actually just said he's benching him, and he should continue to bench him. Jahan Dotson. Here's a commander I really not the biggest fan of. Since, in that Week 7 game, Dotson had 8 targets. So maybe he'll get the same amount of targets there. And, he does get 15% of the target shares and 18% of the first read shares in man coverage. However, the Giants have, it's been okay, a little below average, but he might have to go against Deontay Banks and Nick McLeod. That they're a solid group, They're anything elite yet, but they're pretty solid. I wouldn't trust Jahan Dotson against those two in my fantasy lineup if you have them. That's just my opinion. Here's the Luca. This guy might be the one guy that got away from me this week at the tight end spot. I thank God I traded for Dalton Cato. This one would have been good, or not for me. But how about McBride, the tight end?
I actually ended up cutting him in one of my leagues. I don't know if I regret it.
Yeah, no, I would if I regret it if I were you, because this dude has been one of the best tight ends in fantasy right now.
Let's look at my. I'm gonna look at my tight ends real quick because Dallas Goedert's out. It's not a help, but this is a 1 tight end league.
Last week, this man literally had only TJ Hawkinson did better than him. He is second. He ranked second in target share at 31%. So
you know what? I must say
38.
I must say I actually didn't cut Trey McBride, thankfully, but I have Travis Kelce starting over him, unless I throw Brandon Ayuk onto the bench, which I'm not going to do against the Bucs.
Yeah, and just so you know, any Trey McBride owners, Houston, they got Houston this week. Houston has allowed the most points to fantasy tight ends this year. So anyone that got this man, you guys are smart. You guys.
By the way, what's up to Armand again? Jets Mess, what's up?
What's up, man? Hope you guys are well. Taysom Hill, another tight end, too unpredictable for me. It used to be that quarterback gadget, then they took the rule out. It's just really weird because, sometimes he'll go off, sometimes he'll do nothing. Last week against Minnesota, 2.3 points. The week before, 16.6. The week before, 21. The week before, 12. The week before, 5. He's just too hit or miss for me. I'm just not sure what to do with Taysom Hill at this point. He's a quarterback. He's a wideout. He's a tight end. Like, they just use running back. They use him as everything. So I wouldn't drop him, but I don't know if he's like the smart answer to go forward unless he has a defined role.
I never really thought of picking him up in any scenario.
Yeah.
Like,
neither
not
did
even
I.
for any of my fantasy teams, because I just never think of him. And like, again, as you said, he's not very it's very spotty when he's being used. But I got a question for you, but I also have to do this I have to help out, not help out Armin, but I have to mention him. This is regarding our Jets, John. I know, obviously, we're both pessimistic, but Ian Rappaport reported this, so we'll see what happens. The Jets, by the way, are skewing a bit younger. Expect more looks for Jeremy Ruckert, Xavier Gibson, Jason Brownlee, Irvin Charles, and snaps for Izzy Abanikanda.
You know what that means? The tank is on.
A tank, evaluation, whatever. But
That's what that
yeah,
means. The tank is on.
that's what I had to say. But I got a question for you. So you brought up Geno Smith. You said he has a gauntlet of schedule. I completely agree. So I'm contemplating maybe, do I trade Geno Smith or do I release Geno Smith? Because I'm looking at the quarterback market here on Yahoo Fantasy. There's Baker Mayfield, there is Russell Wilson, there's Jordan Love, there is Derek Carr, who's on a bye. There's Matt Stafford, there's Gardner Minshew as well. But I'm looking at Mayfield, and I'm going to pull up his schedule as seen here. Give me 1 second. Come on, work with me. Nope. Hold on. For Christ's sake. All right, so let me pull up Baker Mayfield.
If you're asking me to drop him for Baker, at this point I would.
Because Mayfield is like, he's not facing a gauntlet. He's facing, like, there's some teams who are really bad defensively. There's some good teams he's good defensively. All right, so here's the rest of the way. Obviously, today, absolutely not start him because he's facing Niners. Then he's facing the Colts, who are mid-tier. Then the Panthers, 26th. Should I say, actually top against quarterbacks. Atlanta, Green Bay, Jacksonville, New Orleans.
Yeah, I would pick up Baker and drop Geno.
Okay, I will do that. But I'm going to keep him as my backup for right now, obviously.
Okay.
That's a smarter move.
That's fine.
Let's see. We'll throw out Geno Smith because he's average. I know Baker's average, but I think he has a little bit more of a ceiling. I'm looking at my other moves. Let's see. I'm going with my Yahoo. Is Romeo Doubs a smart start today?
Let me just look at what I have on him.
The Chargers defense, right?
Chargers, yes.
Here's what I don't like really about Romeo Doubs, right? So only 15% of the target share and 17% of the first read share. But he's a guy that, with Romeo Doubs, right, you look at his past games, the issue for me is he's very touchdown dependent.
Okay.
You can't say 5 weeks, 5 games, he hasn't hit over 40 receiving yards. But he's been okay in the touchdown department because he has 3 touchdowns in those games. So he's not someone I really want to start.
Now I'm also mixing and matching, depending, cutting him. You have, here's the free agents: Michael Gallup, Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy, Brendan Cooks, Michael Wilson, Curtis Samuel, Tutu Atwell, Jaden Reed. Because this team of mine is 4-6. I'm not going to say I'm all desperate, but I like to get myself back into the playoff push. Is Jerry Jeudy's kind of an afterthought on that Denver offense, correct?
I personally don't like Jerry Jeudy, but
there's also Darnell Mooney, which I find somewhat interesting.
Jerry Jeudy is someone I would not probably pick up. I wouldn't even do that. Darnell Mooney, I might rather have.
What about Robert Woods? Robert Woods is healthy, right?
Yeah, but
the thing, you think Tank Dell's overtaken him?
Yeah, I don't really see any value with Robert Woods. I'd say Darnell Mooney is your best option.
Okay, so
you can maybe get away with Mooney as a flex play.
Yeah, that's what I'm possibly thinking. Again, I'm going to remove Dobbs was actually my flex for today, but I'm going to switch that around and move Darnell Mooney in.
Yeah, I'd rather have Darnell Mooney over Romeo Doubs.
Right,
sorry, Doubs, but you're a dub.
Madison is my flex. I didn't start Zay Flowers this week. He actually underperformed per the expected. He only put up 8 points when he was expected to put up 11. I think I should be relatively okay with moving on. No, Josh Reynolds is not a start at all. Buffalo defense Tyler Bass. That should be good. I'm going to look at my other teams, see if I have any questions for you. Let's go with my league. I think I got everything else under control relatively. Is Sam Laporta a flex play today? He's facing the Bears.
Well, we know how good Sam Laporta is. I wouldn't just say he's a flex play. He could probably start him as your tight end one. He's top 7th in deep targets. He's 8th in red zone targets for tight ends. Bears have allowed 3rd most fantasy points to tight ends this year, so he's got a great matchup. And yeah, this could be a big game for him.
All right, I'm going to shift to my NFL fantasy league. So Tyler Boyd didn't play that well. You think CeeDee Lamb still start versus the Panthers, right?
Oh, easily, yeah. Easily.
Now, it's tough because Evan Ingram, I picked up Noah Fant. Obviously, I drafted him way earlier. He hasn't been as reliable for me. I got to be completely honest. And my ultimate replacement would be Evan Ingram versus the Titans. Is that a reliable thing to do?
Evan Ingram, right? He is someone who I had much higher, but he's ranked tight end 8. You can get away with it, Evan Ingram. He's 4th in target share. But the volume there, the receiving yards are there, but he doesn't get the red zone targets, and he's got no touchdowns this year. So that really hurts him. I think for now you can get away with it, but I don't want to say it's a good long-term option.
Right. At least my team is 8-2 for right now. So I think I'm finished with my fantasy questions if I'm going to be completely transparent.
Like completely transparent like this?
Take that BYU shit off.
With this.
Clown.
No hack it either.
But is that it for fantasy? Okay. Betting.
Luca, can you do me a favor? Can you pull up the Bet MGM board? And we're going to go through the
yes,
board.
I can. Bet MGM board. Okay, so Bet MGM, like where do I go specific? I know Bet MGM, the website.
Just the games, because we're going to look at the games.
Okay, and like the spreads?
Yeah, we're going to look at all the spreads, totals, and then we'll look at price.
Right, I have it all up.
Okay.
You know what I said on my
recent
what I said in my recent show is they should do a prop. Tommy DeVito over under 100 passing yards.
Does he even throw for yards in garbage time?
Well, he's only had in 3 starts. Well, I should say in 3 games, he's only had 1 game over 100 yards passing.
But I do have the spreads, John, when you're ready.
I'm ready. Sorry, my phone was.
I also have the Bet MGM like the statistics of it's called betting highlights from WagerWire, so I can offer those too.
Let's pull up the board. See what we got.
Spider-Man.
Woods is actually not with the Steelers, Armand. It's he's with the Texans.
Texans. You ready to pull it up?
I haven't.
Oh, I thought you pull it up on the screen.
I'm sorry. All right, so we're gonna share it. My fault.
That's what I meant.
All right, here's the board with all the spreads.
Can you increase the size a little?
I can do it. Do it.
Okay.
Hold on. Wait, maybe that should hold
on. Mighty saying under.
Can you see it now or?
That's a little better, but you know what? That's fine. That'll do. So, if you can make it bigger, there. It's just the numbers. That's the annoying.
Yeah, I can read them out if you want.
So, all right. So we'll look at the first game. Giants Commanders. Here's the thing, right? I don't want to bet on ever Tommy DeVito because we know how garbo he is. But who are the Commanders getting 9 points as a favorite? Have you guys looked at the last the Giants Commanders like games they played?
It's very grindy, very low scoring. So, and even
Right.
that, the games are close.
Correct. And here's my point. You look at the results, right? So this year, the Giants won by a touchdown. The Giants won by 8. Last year, there was a tie. Then in the game before that, the Commanders kind of blew them out. Then they won by 1 point. Then in 21, then the Giants won by 3. These games are always close. Well, who are the Commanders to get 9 points as a favorite? If I had a lean, it sounds crazy. I might lean the Giants.
The plus
Just
9.
saying. I'm just saying. That's a lean where the Giants might be there. Here's another one. Jets Bills. If I had a lean, say the Jets plus 8, because these games are always close. But also, I actually like the under 39.5 really for this game.
Yeah.
Because, these two teams just have struggled offensively and the defense is really taken over. Also, it's a divisional game. A lot of the divisional unders hit. So there's my lean for that. Titans, Jags. It's a divisional game. I don't really know if there's a lean. If you want to take the Titans 6.5 point, you want to take the points, you can. If you think the Jags are just going to blow them out, I can see that as well. No real lean there, in my opinion. The Chargers, Packers, that's like a weird game too as well. I could see either team.
Yeah, that's not a guarantee
winning.
for either.
Maybe the best lean there is the over 44.
That's fair.
I'd say at minus 110 odds, because remember the Chargers not the greatest secondary, and the Packers, even though they struggle to throw, I mean their defense is suspect as well. So that's my lean. Raiders, Dolphins, I feel like we should just skip. That's a friggin' my God.
Dolphins all the way.
14-point favorite in that one. That's crazy to me. That is.
I don't think they win by 2 touchdowns. I think I would take in this scenario Raiders plus 14. I think they'll be somewhat competitive. I think that's like a 9-point game in my opinion.
Yeah,
they can win something like 22-13. No, I don't think the Raiders defense is that good.
I don't.
31-22, something like that. I don't know.
It could be. Cardinals, Texans. This is a game where I love the Texans are now being appropriately priced, I'd say.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a real lean there. The Niners, Bucks. I like the over 42 in that one.
Niners, Bucks. Yep. Over.
Yeah,
42.
I don't really see any value. I mean, the Niners spread is at 13.5 right now. That went up. I mean, I could see them blowing them out, which is kind of sad, but again, very true.
It's not going to be a good game.
Yeah, we might have a little bit of different boards, so I'm just going to go back up to the top in case I missed anything. Steelers, Browns. Okay, so here's a really weird one. This line opened up at -4.
Right.
But now it's up to -1.5, and I get it. The Steelers, Browns. I like the under 34 in this game. I like that.
Yeah, because I don't think, as I said, like we all detail, it's going to be more of a great grindy game because Pickett's not a great passer. DTR is unknown as a passer. It's going to be ground game and defense.
Right. And here's what I'll say. Mike Tomlin in his career. I got to look up the numbers again, but give me 1 sec.
Is this going to be like record in 1-score games?
No. This is records against the spread. Okay. Mike Tomlin as a dog in his career, 64% of the time, he wins the spread as an underdog. So say what you want. The man does win a lot of his games through that. He's way better as a dog than he is as a favorite. He wins 64% of the time as an underdog, only against the spread, 47 as a favorite. So, and it's not a small sample size. The record for Tomlin is 59, 29, and 3 as a dog. That's really good.
So I'm just going to list this right now. The most bet, because we're talking about Steelers Browns. Steelers Browns is one of the most bet games per the ticket per bet MGM, and they're also one of the most bet teams. The plus 2.5 per bet MGM obviously that is declined to plus 1.5. Right now, Bet US, where I do my betting, is plus 2 for the Steelers.
Yeah.
So I wonder what's the more interesting play.
Yeah, I prefer it if you got them at a plus 4 earlier in the week, in my opinion. But this game might go down to the wire, but it'll also be very low scoring. Here's another one. Bears Lions. That's a tough one. I don't know. This line opened up at 10. Then now the Lions are only favored 7.5. I don't really see any value there in terms of the over under as well. We'll move on to any other games. Here's a really good one, and this is going to be crazy. Cowboys Panthers.
You think the Panthers cover?
Here's the system play, Luca. Ready for the system play? And I found this, right?
Go ahead.
Teams that have a winning percentage of under 25% and are at home of a dog of 7 or more since 2000 cover the spread 58% of the time.
Panthers plus 10.5.
Panthers fit that description, okay? Cowboys could be coming. Remember, Cowboys have taken it a little easy on some of their easier opponents. Remember what they did against the Cardinals. Now, I'm not saying the Panthers are going to win this game. That's not what I'm saying.
That's it.
Because the Cowboys' money line's at a minus 600. So there's no way that really has any value. But the Panthers at a 10.5, I hate the Panthers. I think they're an awful team. But they fit that system, and that's something I would be willing to take. I'd be willing to take that. Here's another one. Now, here's 2 more games, right, on the later part of today. The Seahawks-Rams, guys, let me tell you something. It is so interesting because the Rams are now minus 1.5 favorites.
Right.
Remember, the Seahawks, if you guys look at the action line movement, the Seahawks were the favorites at first.
I can imagine.
They were the favorites by a couple points. Now the line has shifted. So, and here's what I'll say about these 2 teams because they're division, right? They play each other a lot. Sean McVay versus the Seahawks against the spread, 10-4 in his career. Don't know why. He just has their number a lot, okay? I'll even still play it. Now, I'll even still play it, and I still think the Rams will win. So I'll even be willing to say that a minus 125 on the money line, that's a pretty good bet. That's a really good bet, in my opinion. That's a lot of good value.
Let me ask this now. I'm going to ask again. The Steelers are an underdog still. They're obviously I said plus 2. Plus, how about them on the money line? Does that make sense at all?
The Steelers plus 2?
No, I was going to say I think that makes sense, but I'm talking about them on the money line. Just for them to outright win.
I would just take the spread.
Okay.
I feel like it's better value. I mean, unless you fully believe it'll happen, shoot for it. Go.
Yeah, because for me, let's just say I have the I'll pull this up here. I'm obviously you guys don't see this, so I'm going to describe it for you. The plus 2 is at minus 110 on for the odds, plus 2.
Right.
So if I would be winning essentially. I would put let's say I put in $5, the minimum. I'd be winning about $9.55. If I pick the Steelers plus 155 on the money line, I'd be winning about $10, close to 11.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. We move on. What's the other game? Here's one of my favorites. I think this is priced wrong. The Vikings Broncos. The Broncos are favored at 2.5. This line actually went up. They were only at 1.5. Now it's at 2.5. I like the Vikings in this spot a lot. They're on a hot streak, right? 2.5, you get a plus 100. I'm even willing to hammer the plus 120 money line because you're getting plus money. And who are the Broncos to be favorites in this spot? I mean, they're nothing to write home about. I know I think it's a classic overreaction, underreaction because everyone saw them in a primetime game beat the Bills. Remember, they got lucky because
if the Bills don't have 12 man, if the Bills
lose
don't have
that
12
game.
men, they lose.
I think everyone. I think the books are trying to fool everyone, and I think the Vikings are going to flat out win this game. So I'd even take the money line before I take the spread, and that's how confident I am in them. But just another note, right? Sean Payton. So his against the spread as an underdog, 61%. As a favorite, only 52%. So I would take that, in my opinion. Eagles Chiefs, I lean the under 45.5 because primetime unders have been hitting like hell this year. I don't really have a lean in the game. I could see either team winning. I could see either team covering the spread. Like I could see any of those things happening. It's going to be a really close game. But primetime unders have been a trend that has happened a lot this year. These two have very good defenses. These two are both coming off a bye. So I lean the under.
So I'm debating between. I'm going with the money line this week, actually.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm debating, as I said, I think the Steelers are going to beat the Browns, but the Vikings game, you actually win more if I bet on the Vikings. So I think I'm going to take the Vikings against the Broncos this week.
I like the Vikings a lot in this spot for Sunday Night Football. For Sunday Night Football, I should say.
Money is down. I'm placing the Vikings to win. But do you have any player props that you have? Unless you want me to go to that, like there's a certain.
Can we go to Prize Picks?
Prize Picks. Where is that option?
Well, no, it's on its own site. You got to like physically type
gotcha,
in
gotcha.
It's something completely different.
All right, let me just stop sharing for a second, and then I'll pull up Prize Picks.
Yeah, let's go to receivers too and look at their
today's board.
Yeah, today's board.
Okay, so here are the projections. They are loading. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to share this again because it loaded on 2 screens. This should be it. Still loading. Mm-hmm. Okay, so obviously don't care about how to play. Here you go. Here's some of the. There's passing yards. What do you want to go into first?
Let's go to receptions for receivers.
Receptions. Gotcha.
Okay.
These are your first couple of options.
Right. I'm just looking not only at the board.
I'm also going to look at this for my own purposes, but
yes, of course.
I also want to include something per bet MGM. Mm-hmm. Here are their suggestions. Most bet player props with the tickets. Jahmyr Gibbs over 25.5 receiving yards versus the Bears. Mm-hmm. Kareem Hunt over 8.5 rushing attempts versus the Steelers.
Right.
Jerome Ford over 13.5 rushing attempts versus the Steelers.
Okay.
Jordan Love over 229.5 passing yards versus the Chargers. And Jaylen Warren over 39.5 rushing yards versus Cleveland.
Right. One thing I really like, I like Jordan Addison over 4 receptions. Okay. That's because now I get that they have Pat Surtain there, and he might be matched up against him, but I think the Broncos are going to focus more on TJ Hawkinson.
That's
but
fair.
You look at his last few games, right? 7 receptions, 5, 4. He's hit it every time. I think it goes over again today. That's just my opinion. So I've been feeling Jordan Addison's been a profitable guy just because he's a rookie on these. And a lot of rookies I think get underpriced.
Yeah.
So I like Jordan.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying I like Jordan Addison over 4 receptions today. That could be a good one.
I'm going to interrupt real quick. See, for underdog, they don't even have a receptions prop on Jordan Addison. It's either receiving touchdowns, rushing touchdowns.
Yeah. That's why I like Prize Picks. It gives you a whole lot more options in terms of what you can do and what you can't do. Let's see what else is there. Just trying to look at some other guys and other receptions myself because I have the own board picked up.
I'm gonna look at some receptions prop bets. See what the betting experts say. NFL props week 11. Okay.
I'm trying to see what else is there. Another guy I'm thinking of liking actually is Quentin Johnson at 3 receptions. I think I like his over. I
Let me
like
see
his
how many
over.
receptions. Let me see how many receptions he got last week because I thought he wasn't much involved. There's more of a Jalen Guyton, Keenan Allen kind of thing.
Well, remember, no tight end Everett, and I believe Palmer's also out now. So I think Quentin Johnson becomes the number 2 option, and
Johnson actually had 4 receptions last week.
I like the over 3 in that one.
All right, so I'm gonna pull it up.
Am I crazy for that one?
I don't think you're completely crazy. I think if Herbert spreads the ball around.
But nevertheless, we move on into other games. I'm also trying to find divisional games where certain teams do better against others. Let's take a look at here. Let me see what guy I'm going to type it in.
They per DraftKings, well, I should say this is per Pro Football Network. They have their set of props. They like Schultz hitting the under on receptions, 4.5.
That could be interesting. I wouldn't play that. You know what? I would actually take Deontay Johnson under 4 receptions.
Really?
Yep, I would take his under. I don't think he gets 4 today. I think they struggle today on offense.
Interesting. Your bet or your opinion is duly noted. I know it's not an objection, but it's
duly noted. That's right. I think with all the corners they have, I don't like the matchup for Deontay Johnson, if I'm being honest. I don't.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one.
I don't like it. Nevertheless, we'll move on. Let's see.
Now, let me ask this. Would you take Justin Herbert over 261.5 passing yards?
Possibly. It's not a horrible one. Here's another receiver I like. DJ Moore at 4.5. I think he might get over that. I think he'll get over
his
4.5.
trends. Let me look at his trends. So last week against the Panthers, he actually had 5. And now he's facing Dallas. No, I'm sorry. He's not facing Dallas. He's facing the Lions. So you know what? I might actually sign up for that, John.
All right. Another one I'm looking at. I would trying to look at other ones too. Tyreek Hill over 7. I mean, that might be a good one too. I'm trying to look at any low spots for any players. Trying to look.
Let's see. PFF also is
Garrett Wilson at 5.5. I would take the over on that. He's had really good games against Buffalo in the past. Devontae Smith, 5 receptions. I think I would take the over on that.
Yeah.
I would take the over.
Because I think they'll try to take some of the tension away from it. Not like the Chiefs will try to maybe double AJ Brown. I think he still gets his yardage. So Devontae Smith is going to be my next guy.
Right. Now I'm looking at rushing yards, right? Moved over to that. Here's one I actually do like. DTR, he's at 23.5. I would take the over on that for rushing yards. I think he's going to have about maybe 30, 40 today, I'd say. Just because he likes to run. He likes to go out of the pocket, and he likes to use his athleticism as opposed to his mind to beat you.
You know what, John? Instead of the Devontae Smith bet, I'm actually going to take a Giants bet here. I'm going to take the under on passing yards for Tommy DeVito.
Okay.
What the hell is the under?
Well, the over-under is 165.5.
Yeah, you can bet the under on that one.
I'm looking at other rushing yards as well. For maybe any quarterbacks that are sneaky good.
Do you think
I
Jalen
actually-
Hurts gets some yards on the ground?
I actually like Justin Herbert over 10.5 rushing yards.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I would take the over on that. I think he, yeah, I would do that. I'm looking.
How about Russell Wilson under 5.5 rushing attempts?
Nah, wouldn't take that.
Let's see.
Trying to see any. There's really no buy low spots for these running backs, in my opinion. All right, that might be it for now.
I'm gonna try to get one more prop bet.
Maybe the CJ Stroud rushing yards too isn't a bad one because he's priced at 10.5 rushing yards. That's not a bad one in my opinion against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Bad.
Now, does Amon-Ra St. Brown go over 82.5 receiving yards? Because remember, the Bears can't do jack against the pass or the run.
Amon-Ra. Looking at his numbers.
I think he had a big game last week against the Chargers.
What did he do last year against the Bears?
St. Brown had, I'll just read the stats. St. Brown hasn't only surpassed this number in each of the last 4 and 6 of the last 4 and 6 of his last 7 games. He's topped 100 yards in every one of them. He's never caught less than 5 passes in any game and is averaging more than 8 receptions a game.
Yeah, I would hammer that over. All right, and I think that's about it. I gave you my leans and stuff.
Yeah, I got my money line bet with the Vikings. I think that's a very good one, John. Hopefully that wins me some money.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're ready to wrap it up. Luca, I'll start with you for final thoughts.
Final thoughts? Let's see. Hope everybody enjoys their Sunday. I'm not sure that I will, but I'll enjoy the 1 o'clock slate. When it gets to 4:25, I'll be breaking walls and all that stuff. But final thoughts. I hope everybody enjoys their Sunday. I hope everybody enjoys the betting advice, fantasy advice that Sir Angry John gave. So take Professor's advice.
John?
I'm not looking forward to this Sunday. But Barbara has a very important comment. If you want to read it.
Oh. Yeah, this one. That's the only thing John could be happy about besides his Rangers and his Knicks.
Hit the road, Jack. Hit the road, Jack. Don't fall on your fat ass. Hit the road, Jack. Hit the road, Jack.
Armin's right. Just enjoy tanking season. Jets.
That Tuballard is out of New York. But I did like the Mets hiring for their scouting. I liked it a lot.
But tomorrow we'll be back with the Boys in the Big Apple podcast. God, we got to come up with some interesting segments for that one because Jets gonna lose, Giants gonna lose.
Hey, listen, you know what? I'm actually gonna go back and watch the film from the last couple of Knicks games. We haven't done a lot of Knicks talk, so you know what? If the Jets lay a stinker, we're gonna do some Knicks talk, or we're gonna do a Jets therapy session again, but we're gonna do some Knicks talk because I got it.
Yeah. And then tonight, 8 p.m. premiere. The Yankees must sign Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So tune into that. A lot of analysis there and some footage.
Boo.
Who invited this clown? But
You did, clown.
Technically I did.
What a clown on that one.
But we appreciate you guys and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Peace out.